My name is Alphonse Capone. I am otherwise known as Al Capone or Scarface. I was born on January 17th, 1899. I have two brothers named Vincenzo and Raphael. My parents were Italians that immigrated to the United States in 1894. Even though I lived an infamous life of crime, I came from a wealthy and successful family. My background was very respected, but when I was 14, I slapped a female teacher. I was expelled and decided not to go back. It was then that I met the gangster Johnny Torrio. He taught me the importance of maintaining a respectable front while running a racketeering business. I joined Johnny Torrio's Street Boys gang, rising eventually to the 5 Points gang. Then one day, I was in a saloon when I got in a disagreement with someone, and they slashed my face with a razor blade after a fight. That left people with the impression of calling me Scarface in 1925. My boss Torrio retired, and I became the crime Caesar of Chicago, running gambling, prostitution, and a bootlegging racket that expanded my territories by the gunning down and rivals of gangs. I later met a girl named May Coughlin, which later became my wife, and I settled down as a bookkeeper. Once my father passed away, the burden of parental influence was lifted, and it took me away from trying to live a law-abiding lifestyle. After I started to create an influence mark on society, I never traveled without at least 2 bodyguards. Later, I took control of the Four Deuces, which served as a speakeasy, gambling joint, and whorehouse under one roof. A few years later, I moved my operation to Cicero with my brother Salvatore. In Cicero, I kidnapped voters and witnesses and threatened their lives to influence certain things to become the way I wanted. My first big murder that was not caught and arrested for was the murder of a small thug that killed my friend, Jack. I had to deal with Bugs Moran, a big-time enemy mobster, on February 14th. Bugs Moran and his men were lured in by a bootlegger to buy whiskey. Some of my men were dressed in stolen police uniforms to make it seem like a police raid to the men. Once we captured them, we lined them up and shot them in a warehouse. The men were taken care of. This was later known as the Valentine's Massacre. Everything was going well except for one little detail. Bugs Moran escaped before the massacre. I later made it to the America's Most Wanted list in August 1934. I was later moved from a prison in Atlanta, Georgia, to Alcatraz in San Francisco. My health was exasperated by tertiary syphilis, and I became confused and disoriented. My sentence was finally reduced to 6.5 years for good behavior. After release, I slowly deteriorated in Pauled Island Palace. May, my wife, stuck by me until January 25th, 1947, when I died of cardiac arrest at age 48. My legend lived on as one of the biggest enemy mobsters of all time.